Hello and welcome to our special broadcast Budget 2021 report card, and through this one our show will be hosting until the budget on the 1st of February. We'll be analysing the various reforms undertaken by the government and how the promises that were made in the last budget have been fulfilled. While the government has undertaken various reforms in the agriculture sector in the last 6 years, how these reforms have transformed the sector and paved the way for doubling the farmers' income till 2022, this is what we'll be discussing today. In fact, we'll be discussing in detail about the ENAM, the Kisan Rail and of course the Kisan Credit Card as well. But first, talking about the ENAMs, in fact, let's take a look at this story there, how the government had connected all the agricultural produce markets of the country with the ENAM portal, where thousands of mandis across the country have now been linked to the ENAM portal. So clearly, you know how the farmers increasingly are getting connected with the scheme and benefiting through this. Take a look.
In the 2021 budget, the central government promised to connect all the agricultural produce markets of the country with the ENAM portal, that is Electronic National Agriculture Market. 1,000 mandis across the countries have been linked to ENAM portal. 18 states and 3 union territories are included under the scheme, and about 1,66 lakh farmers have joined the scheme so far. The objective of this central government scheme is to double the income of farmers by 2022. In order to provide better prices to the farmers, the ENAM scheme, that is Electronic National Agriculture Market, was launched on the 14th of April 2016, under which all the mandis of the countries are being linked together. The farmers can sell their produce in any market of the country. The farmers are increasingly getting connected with the scheme because of its benefits. The purpose of this plan is to create a unified national market for agricultural commodities. If a farmer in Gorakhpur wants to sell his produce in Bihar, then it has become easier for him, as the ENAM has eliminated brokers, the middlemen and intermediaries between the farmers and the buyers. Not only the farmers but customers are also getting its benefit.
Prosperity to farmers can be ensured by making farm and farming competitive. For this, farm markets need to be liberalized.
Farmers can sell their produce anywhere at a good price through ENAM registration. Now, they are not dependent on middlemen and brokers. There are around 2,700 agricultural produce mandis and 4,000 sub-markets across the country. Now, ENAM is being traded between different mandis of states. The farmers can download the ENAM portal and see the prices of all the mandis of the country under the ENAM scheme and sell their produce accordingly at a higher price. Anuj Yadav's report for DD India.
And we'll be discussing more about the Kisan Credit Card and the Kisan Rail as well in just a bit. And in fact, take a look at those stories as well. But first, let's introduce our guest at this point, Dr. G.R. Chintala, Chairman NABARD, joining us. Mr. Alok Sinha, he's the former CMD, Food Corporation of India, and also Mr. Sandeep Das, he's Senior Agriculture Journalist. Let me begin with you, Dr. Chintala. You know, of course, we'll be talking in detail about the role that NABARD has played, greatly as far as especially in, fighting the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. We'll be talking about the Kisan Credit Card. But let's first begin with the ENAM, the National Digital Platform for Agricultural Trade. Now, how really the physical mandis, trade really became difficult there, especially during COVID-19 induced lockdown. So how the role of the ENAM here became so very important in connecting the mandis and the farmers to selling their produce? All right, we'll be joined by all these guests in just a bit, and in fact discussing more about the ENAM as well. But first, let's focus on this story, which is about the Kisan Credit Card. Well, providing loans to farmers at the right time and at the cheap price has been a dream for Prime Minister Modi, and this dream is coming true with the Kisan Credit Card scheme, whose impact is visible. The government has set a target to doubling farmers' income by 2022. Now, the ambitious target of lending loans to farmers through credit cards at low interest rates was set in the budget of 2020-21.
किसान को आधुनिक सुविधाएं देना, छोटे किसानों को संगठित करके उनको बड़ी ताकत बनाना, किसानों की आय बढ़ाने के प्रयास निरंतर जारी है।
In the 2020-21 budget, the union government had promised to run Kisan Rail for the transportation of farmers' produce in order to ensure that the crops of the farmers are brought safely and at the right time to the markets. Kisan Rail Yojana. Completing this plan, the Kisan Rail Yojana was started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 7th of August 2020. Kisan Rail is a mobile cold storage. This Kisan Rail has so far transported 34,000 tons of agricultural produce from one state to another, and a discount of up to 50% has been given to the farmers in the rail fare. Under this scheme, the 100 train left Shangola in Maharashtra for Shalimar in West Bengal on the 28th of December. This railway train was flagged off by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The income of the farmers will be increased through Kisan Rail service, and it will be a game changer with regards to agriculture. This railway service is completely dedicated to agriculture and farmers. The government is now working on modernization of storage and supply chain and has invested on it. The farmers of our country will be able to send their crops to other states as well through this Kisan Rail now, which will increase their income.
To build a seamless national cold supply chain for perishables inclusive of milk, meat and fish, the Indian Railways will set up a Kisan Rail through PPP arrangements. There shall be a refrigerated coaches in express and freight trains as well, so that perishable goods can be quickly, easily within the country transported, and the benefit will accrue to the farmers.
Objectives of Kisan Rail. Under this scheme, farmer crops such as cereals, fruits, vegetables can be transported to the market through a timely, safe train. Kisan Rail is a kind of special parcel train used to carrying fruits and vegetables. There is also good arrangement for transportation of farmers' produce along with cold storage. The first 4 states on the Kisan Rail route are Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, which are benefiting from Kisan Rail. Kisan Rail to connect several states including Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. It was announced to run Kisan Rail for the transportation of perishable fruits and vegetables in the budget of 2020-21, and in such a short span of time, 100 Kisan Rail trains were dedicated to farmers. Apparently, the budget announcements for farmers are seeing the light of the day. Anuj Yadav's report for DD India.
And that was the report on the Kisan Rail, which was, of course, the promise was made in the budget 2020-21 for the transportation of the farmers' produce in order to ensure that the crops of the farmers are brought safely and at the right time to the markets. Let's move on now and take a look at this report on the Kisan credit cards. While providing loans to farmers at the right time and at a cheap price has been a dream for Prime Minister Modi, and this dream is coming true with the Kisan credit card scheme, whose impact is visible. The government has set a target to doubling farmers' income by 2022. The ambitious target of lending loans to farmers through credit cards at low interest rates was set in the budget of 2020-21.
Kisan Credit Card. Providing loans to farmers on right time and at a cheap price has been a dream for Prime Minister Modi, and this dream is coming true with the Kisan Credit Card Scheme, whose impact is visible. The government has set a target to double farmers' income by the year 2022. The ambitious target of lending loans to farmers through credit cards at low interest rates was set in the budget of 2020-21. The farmers of the country will be able to take care of their farming more through this loan. With this, the farmers will also be able to insure their crops. Loans are being given to farmers under the Kisan Credit Card Scheme without any guarantee. Recently, the central government is linking all those farmers who are availing the Prime Minister Kisan Samman Nidhi with Kisan Credit Card.
Agricultural credit target for the year 2021 has been set at 15 lakh crores, 15 lakh crores, agricultural credit availability. All eligible beneficiaries of PM Kisan will be covered under the KCC, Kisan Credit Card Scheme.
About 14 crore farmers of the country will be given insurance guarantee loans under the scheme. Not only this, the farmers who have arable land will also get a farmer credit card. Benefits to farmers. So far, a total of 9.74 crore farmers have registered themselves under the scheme, and 8.45 crore farmers are getting its benefit. The interest rate on this will be only 4%. The objective of this scheme is to make the farmers financially stronger by releasing them from the debts of the money lenders. If the farmers were able to get cheap loans to raise resources at the time of sowing and harvesting of the crop, then this is a blessing for them. Obviously, these announcements of the budgets have proved to be a real gift to the farmers and not just mere announcements. Anuj Yadav's report for DD India.
And let's now go across to our guest, Dr. G.R. Chintala. He's the chairman NABARD, Mr. Alok Sinha, former CMD Food Corporation of India, and Mr. Sandeep Das, senior agriculture journalist. Thanks to all of you very much for joining us here on DD India, for our special broadcast here. Dr. Chintala, if I can begin with you first, the various reforms, various initiatives that have been, taken place in the agriculture sector. Agriculture sector, the mainstream sector of our economy, and its sustainable development is very important, for the overall good and development of the economy. How would you analyze these initiatives being taken, vis-a-vis the Kisan Credit Card, the ENAMs, and of course the Kisan Rails to make the lives easier and for the benefit of the farmers?
Quite a lot of initiatives have been taken by Government of India, and institutions like NABARD are also part of this entire grand programs that are being rolled out. Now I will say that agriculture, as you are telling, that it is performing so well during this pandemic period, and creating enabling infrastructure is going to create wonders to this sector. Now I will take maybe a few of the schemes. So the first one I will take is that Agri Infra Fund. Now for quite some time after independence, the Indian government through the institutions is creating quite a lot of an infrastructure, whether they may be the roads, culverts, bridges, maybe the other infrastructure like irrigation structures. But at the same time, now today we have created so much of a good agricultural scenario, able to produce quite a lot of an amount of food grains, fruits, vegetables, and also the other commodities of agriculture. Now this time has come to see that they are all client-centric, market-centric, so that we should create a enabling infrastructure for that, creating such kind of an enabling environment. So this Agri Infra Fund, AIF, this is started with 1 trillion rupees, that is close to around 1 lakh crores of the Agri Infra Fund has been designed by Government of India, of which 10,000 crores are during this year and 30,000 crores each will be there in the next 3 years. So now this particular scheme is going to be a game changer in creating a viable infrastructure which is going to facilitate agricultural storage, processing, and also maybe creating a kind of a quality brand for the Indian agricultural products. So now this scheme is already is up and running, and this year 10,000 crores is there.
Right.
Of which NABARD has taken 5,000 crores as the one which we will do to create that agri infrastructure facilities through the primary agricultural credit societies or the cooperative. So now we are doing so well. And the other scheme is regarding the Kisan Rail. Kisan Rail is a really good endeavor, and I compliment the Government of India and the Ministry for starting this one. Now the way it was done, when I'm looking at it, even from the remotest part of the South India, the tomatoes and others are going to maybe any other place, North India and others, without having any spoilage. So that is going to give a good returns to the farmers. So it's a very nice thing that I will appreciate.
Okay, let's go across to Mr. Sinha now. Mr. Sinha, let's first begin by talking about the ENAM, the National Digital Platform for Agricultural Trade. How, during the COVID-19 induced lockdown, ENAM became so very critical when social distancing restrictions were there, physical mandis were not really possible, transportation was disrupted. The number of connected mandis went up 65% due to COVID-19 lockdown. So just, put this into perspective for us, how significant role the ENAM played during the COVID-19 pandemic in connecting the mandis, the farmers there, and of course, in reaching the target of doubling their income by 2022.
Let's put it in the proper time perspective. ENAM was introduced 2 years back. That means well before the pandemic. Fortunately, it established itself so successfully that during the pandemic, when the whole country was on a lockdown, including the mandis, ENAM number of mandis increased by 65%.
Right.
The amount of turnover in that increased by more than 200%. So therefore, we saw at first hand that if, in spite of lockdown, in a virtual sense, ENAM was able to ensure that the produce of the farmer is sold out at the right price at the right time. And since it has been done so successfully in the last 2-3 years, there's no doubt that with the digital transformation coming up so rapidly in the country, and with the farming community getting more and more educated and trained in digital technology, and the fact that the new farm laws will ensure that they would be trading outside the traditional mandis also.
Right.
I'm not saying mandis have to be replaced, but the traditional mandis will be supplemented by more and more ENAM mandis.
Sure.
And to that extent, a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of transportation, a lot of money
Absolutely.
would be saved for the farmer. And the farmer would also get the right price at the right time, sitting at his home on the computer. So to that extent, ENAM has been a great boon
Right.
for Indian agriculture. And we have to remember that part of the credit goes to ENAM for the fact that when there was minus 23% shrinkage of the GDP, the agriculture sector did not fail the country,
Right.
did not fail the economy.
Yes.
It actually had a plus growth rate.
Absolutely.
And to a large extent, it was due to ENAM ensuring that the farmers' produce keeps going ahead on sale.
Okay, sure. Let's go across now to Mr. Das here. Mr. Das, how would you analyze these reforms that have been taken in the agriculture sector? The agriculture sector there being the backbone of the economy. You know, through these various initiatives, the ENAM, Kisan Credit Card, Kisan Rail, how the agriculture market has been strengthened, you know, and clearly a lot of benefits they're also coming to the farmers.
Yes, I must tell you that the focus of the government for the last many years has been to ensure that our goods, initially what is to happen that we have been excessively focusing on our production part of it, agriculture production. So that was needed at that point of time, 2-3 decades back that was needed. Subsequently, our production has seen a phenomenal rise, whether you call fruits and vegetables, whether cereal crop, where most of the commodities we are self-sufficient today, except your oilseeds and parts of pulses. But fact remains that our value chain of agriculture still a lot of challenges remains in terms of in terms of storage, in terms of marketing, in terms of transportation of goods from one place to another. Because in terms of production, we have achieved quite a bit in the last many years. But the real challenge was how to create the infrastructure, especially the perishable commodities, like as I talked about Kisan Rail and a reform in the electronic national agriculture market. So those kind of stuff, because that ensure that, because only production is not end of the story. It's about how to reach out to the consumer at the fastest possible time. And that has been focus of the government, and that's why ENAM and also this rail and also infrastructure fund, these have been focused for the last. ENAM was, in fact, 2016 it was launched, and now we are seeing the fruits of its benefits. And I must add here that during the pandemic, while most of the other countries try to conserve their food grains, India is the only country, just to give you data, we are the biggest rice exporter today. During that April to December 2020, and we emerged as rice. Even during pandemic, we continued to export rice. That means our value chain was uninterrupted despite challenges of lockdowns and all the other difficulties faced during the pandemic, during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Sure.
So at the national, I must add that this infrastructure, now the next phase of reform which is taken up through infrastructure fund, ENAM has to expand beyond that when the purpose is what is the purpose is to ensure that goods from one state to another state, one location to another state, travels without any interruptions, without any hindrance. So that ENAM has done partially till now. There is a way forward now. Hopefully, all the 2,000 mandis will be integrated and single license to the traders and uninterrupted trading. That is where the free trading, and farmers can get information, and farmers can sell anywhere they want to sell.
Okay.
Whoever produce the biggest price. That will be the real win for a couple of years down the line.
Okay. So let's take that to Dr. Chintala here as to, the success and of course the roadmap ahead to achieving that. Dr. Chintala, your comments here, uninterrupted chain there and uninterrupted trade there taking place at ENAM, that has to be the ultimate goal. What would you like to share with us as far as the roadmap ahead is concerned, and the experience also of the farmers, how this has really promoted the real-time price discovery, between the actual demand and supply?
Yeah, now the series of reforms that have been kicked in are creating a very conducive atmosphere for price discovery also.
Sure.
What I am telling is, one is that FPOs, now that entire agriculture is being
Right. Yes.
farmer producers organization.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I was in Pune, somewhere in one of the watersheds, we inaugurated one e-Mandi.
Mm-hmm.
Now that ENAM is already there, but at the same time ENAM is under the normal mandis which are there, they are being converted to the ENAM platform.
Hmm.
But now going by these reforms that have been enunciated, so that many of the people got ideas, they can start their own marketplaces. So now some of the FPCs, that is the farmer producer companies, which are already there for the past 5-6 years, now they created an e-Mandi, and now the price discovery, which I have seen myself, that onion which was there in Lasalgaon that day at 10 rupees, and by logging into this e-Mandi which was created, the farmers were able to get close to around 16 rupees, because the traders are participating who are the ultimate retailers. So in that way, that middleman has been removed. So now this is going to be a game changer in the direction of the particular price discovery to the farmers. And now farmers themselves are members of the FPCs. Farmers are going to be maybe the one who are supplying the material in the FPCs. And this agri-infra fund that is being kicked in is going to create not only this one, the sorting, grading, then packing, assaying, and also that maybe scientific storage facilities. So in that way, that a chain of things that have come into this one. Now, if I really say that India is moving towards a real greater goal of creating a viable agriculture, where that till now it was a production centric, now we are going to the customer and the market centric, so that entire production that is going to be there is going to be dovetailed towards the market, whether it is India or abroad. So now for that quality delivery is also important. So now the series of measures that have been kicked in along with the credit products are going to make this Indian agriculture a totally different kind of thing. If you just look into it in the next 3 or 4 years, you will find that so much of a difference had happened in the Indian agriculture.
Right.
Rather than depending on purely some monopolistic procurer, now straight away the farmers might have shifted or gravitated towards that price discovered mechanisms, and they will be selling at their own terms. Now that put options have come, the way they can log in their prices on the NCDEX or maybe some other kind of thing. And in the days to come, this is going to be the norm. So now I feel that now creating this kind of infrastructure is like, now I will say pandemic and subsequently the reforms that have been kicked in are maybe touching all the knots, connecting the dots in such a way that directly from farm, we are going to the market uninterruptedly with a few of the middlemen, and at the same time, discovering the price to the maybe satisfaction of the producer, and at the same time that maybe the consumer is also getting the best of the products because they are all scientifically graded, stored, and also supplied.
Okay, let's go across now to Mr. Sinha here. Mr. Sinha, how would you say that ENAM has also led to fast tracking, integration? How this is really providing end-to-end connectivity to the farmers?
Well, ENAM is, if you look at it that way, it's a replication of the stock exchange. At one point, there's a master aggregator sitting, and he ensures that the buyer and the seller come face to face with each other.
Sure.
Now, the seller is ready with the produce, lying at his farm gate. The buyer is ready with the means to have money with which to buy that produce, and to have the labor with which to load the produce onto a truck or a tempo, and has got a truck or a tempo to transport it to the next seller. So to that extent, it covers the entire process from one end to another. To that extent, ENAM makes it unbelievably simple to ensure that the entire chain is covered at one go.
Sure.
It is a great thing. It is a modern innovation, and it makes the farmer as well as the buyer believe that whatever they are doing is transparent, it is fair, it is ethical, and it is quick. There is, there is no more the chance of the farmer, the producer, waiting in the mandi and being exploited by the artiyas and the agents to keep on waiting forever, and then they form a cartel to shoot the price down and then buy it at a cheaper price. It is not like that at all.
Okay, let's take that to Mr. Das now. Mr. Das, from your perspective and analysis, what's the sense that the farmers have, and how really more understanding needs to be there among them for them to register, there on the ENAM more and more in numbers, because this is a transparent system. This is, promoting barrier-free interstate and intra-state trade, outside the mandi premises. So this is like a great initiative, and they need to register, in large numbers there on ENAM.
Yes, that I agree on that farmers need to register that, but ENAM has to also cover. Now the most of the commodities sold on the ENAM platforms are all cereals and non-perishable mostly. When they expand their base to the perishable commodity, then perhaps the real challenge will come. And what ENAM has ensured that at least assign facility, some kind of basic grading system is put in place, because the government has provided some fund, so if I remember, 75 lakhs rupees per mandis to set up infrastructure. That was quite critical to help mandis build up their infrastructure, and also to ensure that as I said, that still there are many states which have yet to give us a single trade license to traders. So that is a work in progress, and when that achieves, when there is no interruption in between the farmers in Haryana and the buyers in Bangalore. So that will be eventual success of the ENAM, but that is a work in progress, and a lot of work has been done to create that assaying facility, grading facility, and payment systems. Because it's a very quite challenging, because overnight it cannot be shifting into, it takes time to set up those kind of things, and also the farmers trust in these kind of systems, payment, redressal mechanism, those kind of stuff, because traditionally most of the artiyas, commission agent, farmers have been going through those channels. Now with ENAM, that they have now infrastructure, they have now avenues to sell their commodities. And also important part of the ENAM is that they are also getting information about the price which is prevailing in the other mandis. So that is, information is key, because that ensures that farmers take a call whether to sell the commodity today or tomorrow. So those kind of stuff also helping farmers, and large number of farmers will eventually join when all the states are integrated to ENAM and there is no interruption between transportation of commodities from one place to another place, and that is a work in progress. And I think next 2-3 years will be crucial for ENAM to emerge as a real electronics marketplace for farmers.
Sure. Okay. All right, so let's now move on and talk about another transformative initiative, and that's the Kisan Credit Cards here. And I would like to bring in Dr. Chintala at this point. Your comments here, Dr. Chintala. This is being looked at as a transformative initiative, and clearly a different, a unique facet of financial inclusion.
Yeah, Kisan Credit Card was designed somewhere in 98, 99. And it was in the physical format that time. And originally when it was designed, that there was nothing called interest subventions or anything. So when we designed from NABARD side, I was also part of the team that time in designing.
Okay.
We found that the farmers in the normal course, the moment the credit limits are approved either by cooperative bank or commercial bank, they will avail the entire loan in the 1st of April, and they will continue to pay the interest till the 31st March, so that full 12 months they pay interest whether they require money or not. And so because that was a scarcity time. But over a period of time, that scarcity part has been removed. Now the money is available easily, and also the interest subvention has come. So in that way, Kisan Credit Card now has become a real credit card to the farmer. So he is using as and when he requires the money. So he is going and transacting the business. And the Kisan Credit Card now has become like a e-card. Now it's like EVM chip is there, so that he can go and purchase a diesel, he can go for seed shop, he can go for equipment, he can do anything. So in that way, that it's become a cashless transaction also. So now out of 14 crore plus farmers which we are having, right now we are having close to around 6.5 to 7 crores of Kisan Credit Cards, and they are being now becoming very popular. And still, I can say it is still a work in progress. Though Kisan Credit Cards are there, but maybe the normal loaning is also going on. Now it is the endeavor of every one of us, including the government and institutions like us, banks. We are pushing every farmer to activate their Kisan Credit Cards and use it as a normal, real Kisan Credit Card, so that his drudgery of moving around the bank, collecting the cash also will be removed, and he can go and buy any inputs whichever he requires from the market without any kind of a cash. And this is giving him a lot of savings also, because he can transact it even online. So now that way, Kisan Credit Card is a great thing, but it is yet to see its full potential. I'll say that maybe it will take maybe a few, maybe at least 1 or 2 years for the Kisan Credit Card to become a real omnibus card in the hands of the farmer, and which he is going to get the benefit. And now the other advantage is that the moment the Kisan card is given, the farmers are getting the credit limits for the next 2, 3 years, 5 years, depending on the way which the product is designed. So they are able to do it. And the other thing probably you might have noticed that the government last year had designed a product, an exclusive Kisan credit card for the animal husbandry and fisheries, which was not there earlier. So now these people are basically not landholders, but they are the ones pursuing the allied activities of agriculture. Now this has become very popular. With the campaign, the ministry has launched in collaboration with institutions like ours and banks, that quite a lot of Kisan Credit Cards for the eggs and fisheries have already been given, and already farmers are availing, those people who are pursuing these activities. So now I say that in the next 2 or 3 years, Kisan Credit Card probably may be very ubiquitous kind of an instrument in the hands of these people who are using it.
Okay. So let's take that to Mr. Sinha now. Mr. Sinha, how would you analyze the success of the credit, the Kisan Credit Card Scheme? Because of course, how this has really been a credit boost through these schemes. How the farmers, would you say, have benefited directly or indirectly? The agriculture sector, they are seeing a slew of reforms and stimuli, and Kisan Credit Card being one of them.
Well, it's like this. If you want to start any business, I mean, suppose you are a big industrialist, small-time capitalist, middle-level industry, you need money on loan from a bank or an institutional finance to not only start your business, but to sustain your business. Unfortunately, in the agriculture sector, till now, we had left the farmer at the behest and at the beck and call of the Artiya. I mean, in the till about 100 years time, if you read Munshi Premchand's stories, it was the village money lender who used to fulfill the needs of the farmer and in the process exploit the farmer. Money lending got abolished, but the Artiyas are still there, and the farmer needed to borrow money from the Artiya by mortgaging his future crop to the Artiya. Now, obviously, the Artiya must be a very good human being, but not really a welfare economist. Artiya is there for his own personal profit, and he'll try to screw the farmer as much as he can. The Kisan Credit Cards, for the first time, attempted to liberate the farmer from the cudgels of the village money lender, now called the Artiya, so that he gets a respectable loan, and his not only land but even his crop is not at the threat of being taken over by the person who has lent him some money. To that extent, the Kisan Credit Card is a revolutionary innovation to ensure that the Kisan, in order to increase his turnover, gets ready money from a source which is not going to exploit him, which is not going to take over his land or his crop. So to that extent, the Kisan Credit Card is a great thing. It anticipated the farm laws of today, which is very good, because the Kisan Credit Card system is now in place, in operation, and as and when state after state notify their own rules to implement the 3 farm acts, the farmer will have easy, speedy and automatic access, transparent access to capital.
Okay. Mr. Das, your comments here, your analysis here, the success of the Kisan Credit Card scheme and how this is, a different sort of a facet of financial inclusion, facilitating the access for the farmers to short-term credit.
Yes, although it was Kisan Credit Card launched about more than 2 decades back, one of the critical significant event it happened when the government announced that inclusion of dairy farmers and fisheries farmers, also those who don't have a land to have these particular benefits. Essentially, what it does is that even if you start a dairy business, people want to keep a car, want to buy a calf, or set up fisheries, some equipment and all, you need a working capital. For a small time, small farmers, or those who want to have just to start a dairy business from the scratch, arranging a working capital is quite a challenging task essentially. And that this 3 lakh rupees, which is approved under the Kisan Credit Card, and also which helped them in arranging that working capital, and also the interest subvention, which is about 4% plus 3%. But that means technically you are getting interest, getting the loan at only 4% with the interest subvention, if you are paying that back on time, essentially. So that means about 9 crore farmers have been given. Hopefully the Kisan Credit Card will be extended to all the 14 crore farmers or farm families and beyond. And this is excellent example of providing working capital when required. Otherwise, usually what happens is the person depends on the money lenders who charge exuberant interest rate to get this working capital. Now they are getting a very economic interest rate for funds to start a new business, to start agriculture activities.
Sure.
This entirely is a very welcome step, and hopefully it will expand to all. The benefits will be available to all the 14 crore farmers or farm families in the country.
Right. Dr. Chintala, financial inclusion is very important for any sector, and when JAM Trinity was created, of course, financial inclusion was at the topmost priority. That was, of course, very important, and now its trends, would you say, are being leveraged, and Kisan Credit Card, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Scheme are now, have become a result of that idea, of that conception when JAM Trinity was taken forward.
Yeah, now JAM Trinity, when Jandan, the moment that Jandan had been kicked off, the Kisan Credit Card was there by that time, but at the same time, this JAM Trinity has created a kind of an ecosystem where anybody can transact on this one in a jiffy, because the identity is verified by the Aadhaar, and maybe Jandan is there and that mobile. So now Kisan Credit Card may not be exactly like Jandan, but at the same time that it is using that JAM kind of a platform, and where the transactions are happening. So now here one thing I can say that a good amount of ecosystem has been created by everyone, by the government maybe especially, to create an ecosystem where both the supply side and also the demand side kind of things have been attempted even before the pandemic has come. Now, but during this period, now if I look into it, that the ecosystem created over a period of maybe last 5-6 years was creating maybe enabling the JAM kind of a thing, and the second thing is that creating the POS machines at every village level, MPOS machines, establishing eKYC facilities, and transactions interoperability. So many things have been attempted along with the ATMs, kiosks, and also the BCs that have been come in such a way that acceptance infrastructure at the village level, or maybe the town levels of 6, 5, 4, 3, everywhere the acceptance infrastructure has been created. The next good thing that has been done was that creating the demand side kind of a thing, where the literacy campaigns have been launched as to really how to use all these facilities and what are the benefits the people are going to get it. So now, if I look into the whole of these developments in the ecosystem for the past 5-6 years, ever since the Jandan has been kicked off, and since then so much of a development has taken place with regard to like mobile payments and everything.
Sure.
And today, now by having the Kisan Credit Card as a number, now you can use any of the facilities that the acceptance infrastructure has been there, so that they can do seamless transactions. So that is how when the pandemic had erupted, by most of that India, particularly the rural area, has been insulated is the acceptance infrastructure that has been created at the ground level for a period of 5-6 years has enabled the DBT transfers to happen seamlessly, has enabled this KCC transaction to happen seamlessly, has enabled that maybe the artisan cards people to have a seamless kind of a transfer. So in that way, seamless kind of a transactions has facilitated quite a lot of things, including the Mudra cards and so many things are there. So now, when I'm looking into all these things in a greater perspective, a systematic approach has been adopted by the government and also the institutions, including the planning commissions, NITI Aayog, to create and roll out the infrastructure in a systematic way, which has come handy for us. And the other day I was reviewing really what are the things that have happened on the digital platform in the pandemic, and I found stupendous amount of transactions have taken place even from the rural areas, apart from the urban areas. So now that itself is an indication that the entire jam kind of a thing had reached the nook and corner of the country, and now it is going to go up further. So now, as the previous speakers were telling that now this Kisan Credit Card has taken away probably some of the RTS roles also. Now earlier, that by the farmer's dependence was there in RTS, that he was there at beck and call and he can give money at any point of a time. Now once the limits are fixed in the Kisan Credit Card and that money is lying in the card itself, in the cloud. So now farmer can take the money anytime he wants, so that maybe his dependence on RBI will come down substantially. And it's the beginning of that kind of a change. So I am extremely happy with the way that things have been rolled out over a period of maybe the last 6-7 years. And today it culminated into a kind of a great kind of a digitization of this entire Indian ecosystem, and agriculture is no exception to it.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, how would you say that Kisan Credit Card Scheme has made the farmers financially stronger there, because they can now avail credit for crop production, consumption by simply swiping a RuPay debit card, and, credit there being a very crucial input for sustainable development of the agriculture sector.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Kisan Credit Card system not only makes capital accessible at the farmer's doorstep, but as you said, all he's got to do is swipe his card, a RuPay card, and get the money into his account. It is as simple as that. He does not have to go to a middleman. He doesn't have to go to a tout. He doesn't have to go to an artiya. He doesn't have to go to the agent of an artiya and beg for a capital which he needs very urgently for his next sowing. Agriculture is one activity in which time is of the essence. And if you were to make the farmer wait for days to either sell his produce or to buy seeds and fertilizer to make his produce a good harvest, then he's already lost half the battle. To that extent, making capital easy and quick through the Kisan Credit Card system has made the farmer a respectable businessman. And we have to recognize that agriculture is, of course, the farmer is our annadata, but farming is, as an occupation in the 21st century, is first and foremost a business enterprise. And we got to help the farmer get all the inputs at a quick pace so that his output is good. Indian agriculture, doubling farmers' income, will be possible only when agriculture in India is modernized through all these inputs, and one of them is the Kisan Credit Card.
Okay. Mr. Das, the significance of the Kisan Credit Card, like Mr. Sinha was saying, time is of essence in agriculture sector as far as sowing and of course sowing, the produce, and then of course selling the produce. So minimum paperwork and, simplification of the documentation, but all this has become possible because of the Kisan Credit Card. What would you say?
Yes, and another point is that another point I want to make, that along with the Kisan Credit, also the government thrust on the trinity of jams. When through PM Kisan, the money has been transferred to his account, and many earlier, so at least about 10 years back, lot of farmers were outside this banking system. So that also created hindrance in terms of providing credit and all. So because what is this jam has done is that that Kisan is now integrated with the farmers are integrated with the banking system, and you have a Kisan Credit Card, and you also PM Care Fund which transfers the funds 6,000 rupees a year to his directly into the bank account. The overall the working capital requirement is taken care of through Kisan Credit Card, and also input parts of it also partly taken partly supported by government in terms of rupees 6,000 a year.
Sure.
So essentially, this is a multi-channel approach of government to ensure that not only the working capital requirement is met, but also to ensure that farmers are also part of the banking system through the bank accounts and all.
Yes.
And eventually, I think the whole focus has been to ensure that all the benefits which farmers today get through indirectly through fertilizer subsidy are directly transferred to the farmer's account. I think the direct benefit transfer is, I think, the real aim of the entire this strategy of Kisan Credit Card or Trinity Jams and all. Ultimately, all benefit with Kisan with farmers are supposed to get transferred into the farm account. And the steps has been also taken in terms of providing a fertilizer subsidy. The work is, these are all work in progress. Essentially, the focus should be that all the support should go directly into the farmer's account, so that the farmers make an informed choice, and also farmers' working capital requirement is taken care of. Financial requirement for buying agricultural inputs is also taken care of.
Right. Okay, let's move on now to another important subject, and that's on the Kisan Rail here. Dr. Chintala, your comments here. First of all, farmers were earlier heavily dependent on other public transport, but ever since the start of the Kisan Rail, how this has really built a seamless national coal supply chain for the perishables, and reduced their cost of transportation, the time also involved in transportation.
Yeah, for quite some time, Indian agriculture, particularly the horticultural produce, I can
yes.
say that it is at the mercy of the transport. Now, it is not at the mercy of the market. Is one at the mercy of the market, and second is the transport. There are many places where I used to work in various geographies of the country. Now, you just go to that time when I went to Bihar, that is there one place called Nauvichia. Now, if you just then they produce quite a lot of banana, and which was to be sent to Calcutta market. Now the roads were not in a great shape that time, and only the trucks axles also used to get spoiled. So now that where the trucks used to come. So now most of the banana, by the time it reaches the ultimate market, it used to be the darkened version and with all the spots and other things. So the market will pay a less price. So now this Kisan Rail or maybe some kind of a seamless transport was the need of the hour. For quite some time everybody was trying with the idea. But now it has come to a fusion in such a way that the Kisan Rails have come, and they are air-conditioned containers. So that is the great part of it. So now, the moment the produce is loaded onto the train, then till it reaches the destination, there is absolutely no spoilage. And also that India is such a country that across the country, if you travel, it takes not more than 3 days for any train to reach the ultimate destination. So maximum that is. So if that is the case, any of the horticultural produce, whether it is tomatoes, papayas, or maybe any of the other things, if you just load from one corner of the country and they reach the destination, they reach in the impeccable condition. And so the farmers are going to get the benefit out of it. And second thing is, when I look into the fares or the things that are being charged with the Kisan Rail, they are much more cheaper than the traveling and transferring them by trucks. So
right.
When these things are there, that farmer is going to get a good benefit. And now here, more than farmer, I can say that if the farmers form their FPOs and FPCs, they are going to get a real kind of a benefit in this one. As the FPCs can aggregate the produce from all the small farmers, they can sort, grade, then maybe do the preliminary kind of a packing so that they will be sent to the ultimate consumer destinations in the good condition, and the realization is also very high. And these right now, because earlier only 1 or 2 trains have started, now when I was looking into the newspaper reports, I think from many of the major producing centers, these trains have started to various destinations to the consumption centers. So now that is the great part of it, and the real national integration. Now earlier we said Indian Railways is the greatest national integrator. Now this Kisan Rail is the greatest integrator of the producer, consumer, or you can say that farm to fork is really happening with the Kisan Rail. and also it is leaving a lot of surplus in the hands of the farmer because he is now not at the mercy of either the trader or the logistic supporter who used to take their share of cut on that
Right.
time. So that is why it's a very great initiative, and I wish that maybe in the days to come, these trains frequency will be much more, and they will be just accessible by web. Now, in case if you can make the Uberization of these farmers' rails, now that farmer can just simply order the rake now whenever his produce is of that much. So once that Uberization is done, then it's very good. Now here I will say that maybe in case of agri infra, that particularly the warehouse, we are creating that kind of a app in such a way that we are now geotagging all the godowns. So now once that kind of app comes, probably it can happen. Now same thing should happen for the entire Kisan Rail, so that the FPCs or maybe somebody who is there in this one can really do wonders in realizing the better price of the better share of the consumer's price to the farmer.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, how are you looking at Kisan Rail being a game changer? You know, because 34,000 tons of agriculture produce from one state to another has so far been transported. What would you say, how is this going to pave the way for increasing the farmer's income and also, you know, reducing the cost, preventing the destruction of the perishable farm produce?
Okay. You know, let us to understand the importance of the success of the Kisan Rail, let us look at the Amul pattern. Now, Amul, we all know, is a great enterprise because the milk producer has been organized in various layers of cooperative societies. The economy of scale has become very big, and today Amul has reached a stage where they export more than 15,000 crore rupees worth of milk products outside the country. Now, you know, like for example in Delhi and NCR of Delhi, they don't produce any milk, but a population of 2 crore people have to be fed milk. There are special trains which come from Gujarat every day bringing in more than 50 lakh liters of milk into the capital. In that sense, apart from Amul, no one has ever looked upon the agriculture sector's marketing as a modern developmental model. Till this government had a series of steps, including the Kisan Rail. The Kisan Rail means that like Amul sends milk to Delhi, similarly the Kisan produce will be transported all over the country wherever there is a need to buy them. And if 34,000 tons have already been transported. The rail lines are already there. The situation is ready-made for a tremendous success in farming marketing revolution.
Right.
The railhead is, the Kisan Rail is what will play a major role in making it a success, and to that extent also doubling the farmers' income. It's a great boon.
Sure. Mr. Das, your comments here, Kisan Rail, they being a great initiative, especially for the small farmers, you know, of course, who produce vegetables or perishable products there with a short shelf life.
Yes, basically, again, I'm repeating the same thing, that today in Delhi, we are consuming a milk from Amul, and mostly supplied from a district called Banaskantha in northern Gujarat, and it travels to 1,000 kilometers close to through the specialized trains, specialized vehicles, which takes milk from Banaskantha to the outskirts of Delhi in Faridabad, then it is distributed to, and milk is a very perishable product. The railway, same the Kisan Rail also will definitely going to help farmers and also the consumer in terms of, you know, reducing the cost. I can quote a figure, which 2015 figure, which Indian Council for Agriculture Research has done, which is about that we lose about 91,000 crore rupees because of our post-harvest, pre-harvest losses, because of our challenges in our big lack of cold storage and all. So 90,000 rupees, that 2015 studies, which is with a huge amount of, you know, money, and which can be easily could have saved for farmers, for the country. So that Kisan Rail also will help reaching the perishable on time to the consumer. And because as I said, we don't have we have done quite a bit of work in terms of production, output part. Now the focus should be on the how you transport, how you transport our fruits, vegetables, other commodities to the consumer centers from the producing sector. So these are very interesting. I remember that there was a banana train which is also running now from Bhusawal to Maharashtra to Bhusawal to Delhi. So these are all very special because agriculture, I must add here that each of the commodity in agriculture is very unique in its own way. The banana is different, the milk is different, the poultry, chickens are different. So that's why this extremely challenging task to organize logistics for all the commodities. But this rail thing, which is gradually, I think, will expand to the entire country.
Right.
And farmers will be benefited, and the consumer will be benefited, because the time span between the production and consumption will be reduced, and the quality of produce will remain the same.
Okay. Let's go across now to Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, talking about the logistics here, that assumes a lot of significance, because transportation has to be supplemented by the back end and the front end support, and by that I mean efficient distribution, the pack houses, because all of these will ensure that the produce quickly reach the consumers, and there is minimal damage really that's caused to these perishable food items.
Yes. No, so to that extent, there is no doubt that apart from making cheap, speedy inputs available to the farmer and making his marketing a success through not only Kisan Rail, but to every point from the farm gate till the dining table, it has to be taken care of. Even the packaging, not only transportation, but transportation in good, safe and manageable and handable packets are to be ensured, so that it reaches the final end without any adversarial losses. A bit of losses, 0.5% losses here and there would be okay. But to have 10% losses, 20% losses is almost criminal. So therefore, at every part of the entire farming process, it has to be modernized by the induction of capital, investment, and modern technologies of everything, not only from sowing to irrigation to harvesting, but beyond harvesting, the packaging, and then final marketing, and finally taking it to the dining table.
Okay. With that, we have come to the end of this broadcast. Thanks very much, Dr. Chintala, Mr. Sinha and Mr. Das for joining us here on DD India and sharing your perspective as far as this Budget 2020-21 report card is concerned. With that, it's a wrap on the show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with a brand new subject. Stay with us for more news and updates, and thanks for being with us.